Hello, everyone, and welcome to our April Hope session, Creating Cups of Wellness. I am Heidi Parker. My pronouns are she, her. I am the Community Initiatives Manager here at Arts and Healing Initiative, and I am your Zoom host today. This program is presented as part of our free Hope series, Healing Online for People Everywhere, which we created to support the resilience of our global community through social emotional arts. Each workshop offers a supportive space for connection, healing, and empowerment as we navigate the changes in our world. If you have previously attended a Hope session, welcome back. If you are new, thank you for joining today. We are grateful you are all here to create, learn, and grow together as a community. Today's program is in a meeting format, so please keep yourself muted until prompted otherwise. We are recording today's session in speaker view, and we do pause during any reflection to be shared on our YouTube channel. And you are welcome to leave your cameras on as you feel comfortable, as we'd love for you to actively participate. Our session today is scheduled for an hour, and feel free to add questions in the chat as they arise, or you can use the raise hand function. Before we begin, we would like to start by acknowledging the Tongva Nation, on whose land the city of Los Angeles, where we are based, rests today. We hold respect and gratitude for the Tongva people who still consider themselves the caretakers of this land. And by their example, we are reminded of our responsibility to our planet and to one another. Let's take a moment in our own way to honor the Indigenous communities of past and present on whose land you are joining from today. And feel free to honor those communities where you are joining from in the chat. So I would like to welcome today's presenter. Ebony Williams is a licensed marriage and family therapist, educator, social emotional healing arts, and trauma-informed yoga practitioner. She is a trauma specialist who practices LGBTQIA+ affirming and cultural humble therapy, and has worked with children and families, adults, trauma survivors, and folks across the spectrum of mental health and identity. Currently, she is core faculty in the C certificate program through Arts and Healing Initiative, and is also a guest instructor in a trauma-informed yoga training. She has a private therapy practice offering individual and couples therapy that aims to be trauma-reducing and healing-centered. Ebony is also the founder of Root Wellness Healing, a leadership and organizational wellness consulting practice, and Cactus in Bloom, a fiscally sponsored project that supports survivors of childhood sexual abuse who are trying to conceive, pregnant, postpartum, and parenting. Ebony is a mother of 2 beautiful children, and in her self-care time, she enjoys time at the beach, reading, roller skating, and food adventures in Los Angeles. And I will turn it over to Ebony.
Hi, hello everyone. Thank you, Heidi, for setting such a beautiful foundation. I am Ebony, and it's lovely to be in space with each of you. And I come to this work and to this session from a place where I know that time is often so limited. And when we think about like what self-care looks like, what our wellness looks like, sometimes it's hard to really conceptualize that in our minds. I am a visual learner. And so for me, seeing how much I am putting into others and how much I'm putting into other spaces and how much capacity I have doesn't always get considered. And so today, what I'm inviting all of us to do is really think about your capacity, think about your energy. And this exercise hopefully will be something that you can come to again and again, to the point where you may not need to draw it, but you can start to like gauge in your mind. I want to give a caveat for this work is there is such power in rest. There's such power in being able to access rest. But I think the first step is to know what our capacity is, and how much rest are we actually engaging in for ourselves, because rest is such a way to restore ourselves and be able to build capacity to do more. What we're going to be talking about is thinking about like the cups of our wellness, right? And we're going to be literally engaging with these worksheets that you all have, and they're literal cups. But I want to also preface that sometimes we can do a whole lot of self-care and our cups can still be running dry because the circumstances that we're in are not necessarily meeting, like they're demanding so much more of us. And so I don't want folks to walk away thinking like, oh, I just have to, there's something wrong and I'm not doing XYZ, right? Because sometimes there are situations where other things need to change beyond what you can personally do. Does that resonate for some folks, right? And at the same time, we probably, as just people, encounter situations where we may feel helpless, hopeless, that, you know, our cup is burning on fumes at the bottom and, oh, there's nothing we can do. But there may be something that you can do for yourself. Maybe that's a decision around your wellness. Maybe that's a decision around your environment. Maybe that's something else, right? So I want both of these pieces. I'm going to encourage you all, like all of you, to think about both of these collectively. Okay, so I'm going to invite us to take just 3 grounding breaths, if that's helpful. And just know that we're going to go over these, we're going to run through these worksheets that we're doing. And also, we're going to have a little bit of time at the end to just sit with it and process it a little bit. So I'm going to invite folks to feel free to bring their feet to the ground if that is accessible to you and of comfort, or to see if your back might feel comfortable just being pressed against the back of your chair, or even bringing your hands, again, if this is accessible to you, to something solid, right? This is just the practice of grounding ourselves in this space. I'm going to invite you to just notice the rise and fall of your breath. And then see if you might be able to take a deep breath in through the nose and sigh it out of the mouth. Let's try that again another 2 times, just inhaling through the nose, sighing that breath out the mouth. And when you're ready, again, through the nose, deep inhale, sighing it out the mouth. Returning to your natural breath, settling in there for a few moments. Okay. Now I'm going to just check in with folks, and you can do a show of hands, a thumb up, whatever works for you. How many folks have the handouts printed? Yeah. Okay. Oh, thank you, Heidi. Heidi has also included them in the chat box. So if you don't have them, feel free to pull them up. And if you have the ability to, awesome. If you have the ability to print them, you can feel free to do that. If you don't, what I'm going to invite you to do is to just draw, or to grab 4 pieces of paper, and then just to draw the cups on them. Okay, so I'll give folks a moment to do that, just to make sure that we can all engage equally together. Okay. And you can do one at a time as we go if that feels right for you. So for those of you who have the printout, I'm going to invite you to make sure you have maybe a pen, a pencil, if you've got markers, if you want to make it jazzy, like colors, anything that you would like to add to this exercise. Feel free to grab that. Now we're going to start with, and I'll pull it up. We're going to start with the first page of the cup. And that, oh, there we go. And that page is the one that says today. I'll pull this up to show you all. Can you all see that? It says part 1 today. Now, in the middle, we're going to start with the middle, which is the energy capacity that we have. So at the bottom, right, if you're drawing this, the middle says energy capacity, and on one side you have what you give to others, and on the other side, what you give to self. Now, sometimes we don't actually sit to think about what this looks like, but I'm going to invite you to go back to when you woke up this morning, right? This even means like maybe even before you put your feet down on the floor. Can you trace back how much energy you had in your body, in your mind? What did that look like for you, right? So if you think about this energy, this capacity as a cup, and you think about the full cup as 100%, where would you have been today, this morning? And so with that, I'm going to invite you to color in this middle cup, the energy capacity cup, with where you woke up with, how much you woke up with this morning. Okay. So once you have that shaded in, we're going to move to the other 2 cups. But here's the thing about it. The other 2 cups cannot be more than the cup in the middle. So if, for example, you started out with 50% of your energy this morning, the other cups must equal 50%. So I'm going to invite you to think about how much you, and being that it is the middle of the day, right? Think about how much today of that 50% are you going to give to others? And that may include tonight, that can include when you get home, that can include the rest of your day. And then how much of that are you going to give to yourself? Right? So let's shade those in as well. As you do this shading in, just notice what's showing up for you in your body, in your thoughts. Notice if there's any judgments showing up or any emotions that are present for you. Just allow them to exist. So in terms of what you give to others, I'm going to ask you under that cup or somewhere around that cup just to write what are some of those things that you're going to give to others today. And if there's anything around what you need to give to yourself, what might that be? Give yourself another couple of seconds, knowing that everything may not get on here. And that's okay. Once you are complete with this set of cups, I'm going to invite you to move it to the side and flip it over. And then we're going to move to the second set. And this is labeled part 2, right? And the cups, still 3 cups, but underneath you'll see before, during, and after. And so with this, I'm going to invite you to think about maybe it's a project that you've been working on, or, a project that you had previously worked on. This could be a time in your life where there was a beginning, a middle, and an end. So any circumstance where those 3 areas kind of existed. If you are a school-age teacher, this could be, the beginning of the term or the beginning of the year, the middle, and the end, right? So you decide. But I'm going to invite you to think about how much energy you had, how much capacity was present for you before that project, that school year, whatever it is, before it happened, and to shade the first cup with where were you before? And then in the middle, where were you during the process? And then where were you after, once it was complete? Take a moment. I'm going to stop this share. So as you come to the end of filling out and shading in these 3 cups, I'm going to invite you to, on that same piece of paper, that part 2, to do a little reflection. And one is just to indicate, at what point did you feel the most full, the most at capacity? And then at what point did you feel the lowest, depleted? And again, this is for whatever meaningful project that you might have been working on, or a significant time in your life that had a beginning, middle, and an end. So identifying where you felt the most full and at capacity, which cup indicates the most depletion. And then for the cup where you felt the most depleted, what did you need at this time? What would have helped you build capacity? When folks feel complete around this, feel free to put a thumbs up, wave a hand. Thank you, Samantha, Della, Ellenson, thank you, Isma. Okay. I'll give folks a couple more. We'll do a couple more seconds and see. And for those who are complete, feel free to pull out the coping skills spectrum. And I will show you what that looks like. Or coping skills scale. It should look like this. If you don't have it printed out, feel free to just literally make a line and minus sign on one and a plus sign on the other end, and then kind of a neutral circle in the middle. Okay. So I'll explain a little bit about this. So we'll do this worksheet and then we'll move to the last set of cups. So the reason that I think it's really important to think about coping skills in moments of stress, but also moments when we're not stressed, is because this is not something that, is about perfection at all. It's about practice. And when there are moments when there's overwhelm or there's low capacity, it can be really helpful to have identified prior, what are the things that I need that helps me build capacity? What are the ways that help me cope, but also access my resilience? And so for some folks, that may be breathing, using art, music, going to a therapy session. That might be it for them. For other folks, it might be something entirely different, and that's okay. But we all generally have this scale where we have some unhelpful behaviors, and then we have ones that are really helpful, and then ones that are kind of in the middle, and they don't lean either way, but it's good for us to have that awareness about where we sit with all of it. And so I'm gonna invite us to really think about this scale individually. So for you, what do you notice? And you can fill this out underneath, right? Or above, whatever feels right. What unhelpful behaviors show up for you in terms of navigating stressful moments? What helpful behaviors do you engage in? And then which ones do you feel are kind of neither or? Okay. For me, an example is when I am stressed, I typically probably watch way too much TV because it helps me zone out. A helpful behavior that I have is to listen to music that helps me feel really good, or go to therapy for myself, or do some breathing and grounding. Like, these are all ones that like resonate for me as helpful because they give me more energy. And neutral ones tend to be like, you know, what's a neutral one for me? That's a good, I mean, I think drinking water can be a really helpful way of navigating stressful things. Drinking cold things. Don't know if it's a neutral one, but I'm going to think more about that. But you all think about what are some for you.
Hmm.
Stop share here of this one. And again, when you feel complete on this, or if you are feeling like, oh, I'm not really sure, if you have a question, feel free to throw it in the chat. But if you're feeling complete around it, again, feel free to give a thumbs up. Awesome. Thank you all. So, great question, Samantha. An example of a neutral may depend on the person. So for me, I literally was just thinking, is anything neutral for me, right? And the coping strategies that I utilize, I don't know if it's that neutral for me, right? Um, but for somebody who might use cleaning as a way of coping, right? That might be a neutral because it might just be something that they're used to doing, but it may not actually help them feel, it may not be helpful for them. And it also may not be negative, right? In that sense. So it may just be like a habit or something that happens for them that they do. That could be neutral for them. Some folks who might think about music. Music may not actually make everybody feel entirely better, because maybe there are certain associations for them in relationship with music. And so it may not be harmful for them, but it may not actually be super helpful. So that may be a neutral for them. So it really just depends on you and how it lands in your body and your nervous system individually. Hopefully that's helpful. Awesome. Thank you for asking. Okay. That means some folks may not have neutral ones and some folks may. All right. So are we ready to go through the last cup? And then we're going to bring this all together. Okay. So keeping in mind keeping in mind the coping skills, right? And that question that I asked you about the part 2 of the cups of wellness, like what would you have needed in that moment, in that time, to have built your capacity to be able to, access more energy for yourself? Notice if what you needed might have been reflected on that coping skill scale for you at all, as something you needed maybe access to more time to do, that might have helped you. So we'll talk about the relationship between all of this in a bit. Okay, so I'm sharing again, and this is the last set of cups we'll do. And it's the same as the first. So it looks like the middle cup is energy capacity. The 2 on the side is what you want to give to others and what you want to give to yourself. That is part of the difference in this one. And the focus here is on the future. So maybe you have a project coming up. Maybe you have something that is blooming or that is soon to arrive or in process right now that you're kind of sitting with, right? I'm going to invite you to think about that, the thing that is on the horizon for you. And when you enter this project or moment in life, where do you want your cup to be? How much energy do you want to already be there to meet this moment? And then, again, keeping in mind that the 2 on the side cannot be more than the middle. What do you want to give to others, and what do you want to give to yourself? Okay, so we're going to start with the middle cup. Where do you want to start? And I'll invite you to shade that in. And then when that's complete, move on to the others. And notice any limitations in thoughts, any reasoning on why you can't give to this or give to that. Just noticing it. And once you feel complete in the shading, I'm going to invite you to, underneath the what you want to give to yourself, to really identify what needs to be in place in order for that to happen. This could look like support. Could look like time. Whatever you feel needs to be in place. And what does giving to yourself look like here in a capacity building way? Stop share. And I'm going to, as you all are finishing up where you are, giving yourselves another minute or so. When you're ready, I'll invite you to lay out all of these pages in front of you. And once you have them there, I'm just going to invite you to really just take them in. Just see what sparks in you, see what you notice. Is there anything that surprises you? And give yourself about 3 minutes or so to just write a reflection on what you're noticing. And this could be what you're noticing on the page, but also what you might notice show up in your body, in your mind, in your thoughts, in your heart, whatever is present for you. 3 minutes. And we'll come back together. Maybe one more minute. In the last few moments to just finish up wherever you are, but also know that you can always return to this. And we'll come back together. I I want to just ask folks a question because I'm hearing echoes of this, right? But it's not, and I could be entirely off on this, but I get a sense that sometimes there's an urgency around what you all might do in your day-to-day life. Is that accurate? Or for those who feels like that's accurate, thumbs up. Okay. Are there folks that feel like you are the only one? Like without you, things might fall apart or things might not get done. Okay. Does the environment around you tend to be one of urgency? Okay. So at times. And so I ask you these questions because there is the idea of this is if you are working on fumes on that's burning at the bottom of your cup, but you still have to get up and do it because your heart, like in reality, a lot of times it's like your heart is moved to support and help and be there for others, even at the sacrifice of self. And that is, it's a social thing. It's in many ways for folks who've been assigned female at birth and socialized. A lot of times it can be related to like cultural and socialization, like this is the expectation of you. And sometimes it's also this is the expectation of the environment you're in. And sometimes it's just, oh, but this feels fulfilling, right? So there are many things that could be at play, but sometimes when they come all together, it can be overwhelming. The presence of such urgency at times, or these ideas that may contribute to you being on the back burner. So with these cups, you can get a cup that's burning at the bottom to be at 50%, to be at 100%, to be at 80%, right? It just depends on how much you're pouring into you. Because if you're not pouring into you in order to not just sustain yourself, but to thrive, and all of what you have is going over here to others, then that cycle leads to, over time, overwhelm of the body that can lead to stress that is hard to rid yourself of, right? That can lead to a lot of different, it can lead to different kind of ailments, different challenges that are going on for you individually. It can also lead to what I have found the most common is interactions between coworkers or between folks that are not the greatest because folks are stressed out. And so then folks are a little sharper and not intending to be. But when you pour into you, you actually can see the shifts that are present. It's just hard to do. So the hope is that each of you may have taken one thing, because it's a lot to do all the things, right? But like one thing that helps you to build that capacity and helps feed you and pour into you because you are 100% deserving and worthy and valuable to be poured into. So I wonder for folks, like if there's any other thoughts. I see some in the chats. I see what I've enjoyed about this exercise is thinking about which activities are really energy giving, I guess those healthy coping mechanisms, and what is the baseline percent amount I need to dedicate to those activities in order to keep my own energy levels high and healthy. For me, those activities are making art, going for runs, sleeping, reading, generally not thinking about work at all. Yeah, that might be really important for you. I simply love hearing all these shares. I appreciate all of you. Those are precious reminders to me of ways I can be gentle and caring to myself, not urgent. For sure, yes, at times. And as an ND living in an NT world, yes to the urgency of interacting with the world out there. I've learned that urgency is subjective, and oftentimes when is perceived as urgent by others, it is not for me. Thank you all for sharing here. Any other thoughts, additions, or actions that you plan to take for you? Any other thoughts, additions? I see some here. I plan to try to use this exercise to check in with my energy levels in the morning and plan my day accordingly. Yes. Thank you. I plan to use these as visual reminders for the need to fill my cup. And then I have multiple elementary teachers in my life, and they teach filling your cup to fill others in T to K. I'm realizing I don't think I was ever taught those skills or told that my time and energy is my first priority. Yeah. So 100%, like this exercise is something you can use visually as a visual reminder, but also as something that you can start to literally just you wake up in the morning, where's my energy right now? What do I need to attend to for myself? Because I matter too, especially with working with other people, especially children. It's a great way to model for them, like you matter. Right? And because they see you care for yourself, they then learn to do the same. That's part of that teaching of them through that modeling. And so that is so important. Checking in with yourself. How are you going to monitor your day and shape your day based off of what you need in relation to the work that you're doing also, right? So do you need to have 5 minutes of silence? How do you get that? Right? Do you need to be able to make sure you have ways to get to the bathroom that day? Because I know that can be a struggle. Do you need to drink more water that day for yourself? Do you need to take a walk? So thinking about ways that you're going to structure your day so that you are in there, that you're feeding yourself and pouring into you. The other piece is, I think, remembering that at some point it's going to be very difficult to be in support of others if you are not well. And you, the value of you is so essential, right? So I appreciate like the finding balance, the checking in with yourself, the value of you is so important. And I see Lisa has Brittany wrote, one thing I noticed is that neutral behaviors can be positive if I'm fully present doing them. Yes, thank you, Brittany. And then Lisa, I love your approach to this, Ebony. Love how you think about managing energy, time, prioritizing self. Thank you. And I will say this is not perfect. I have this is an ongoing process. So as you're trying one thing, whatever the one thing is you decide to try this week, I'm really going to encourage you to be gentle with yourself, to not expect perfection, and to remember this is a process. It's practice. This is not about product. It's not about perfection. Okay. I want to thank all of you for your time, your presence, your energy, and your practice. And I'm wishing you a lovely rest of your day and week. I'll hand it back over to Heidi.
Thank you so much, Ebony. So much gratitude to you for leading us through such an impactful session and giving us this process to continue reflecting on. And I just want to thank everyone else for taking time for yourselves today to participate in this hope session and just your sharing with everyone and supporting each other. So I also would like to extend appreciation to our donors. We have LA Department of Arts and Culture supports this series. So please be on the lookout for the survey. I did put it in the chat. So your feedback does help ensure that we continue to serve all of you and our community with this series. And then also just a quick note on our upcoming programs. We do have our Beat the Odds online facilitator training this Saturday. It's not too late to sign up for that. And then our May Hope session is available on our website for registration. And that will be working with anger through art. And then our upcoming Hope series will be posted soon after that. So I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week. Be sure to reflect on those cups. And thank you all again for being here.